6:15. This is a Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The news edited by Catherine Pereira, read by Lavani Vijayatunga. First, we take a look at the headlines. President Wickremesinghe engages in an observation tour in the Ambaivala dairy farm this morning to look into the development activities. Sri Lanka will suffer if Israel-Iran conflict escalates. 2 Guinea women nabbed at the BIA with 20 million rupees worth cocaine. Detention orders issued for 4, including naval officers, busted with ice. The Immigration Department to launch online visa for Sri Lanka ship travellers. And in news overseas, US agrees to pull troops out of Niger. Those are the headlines, and now let's move on to the details of the local news. President Ranil Wickremesinghe has engaged in an observation tour in the Ambaivala dairy farm this morning to look into the development activities in the dairy farm. A massive development program was initiated last year under the advice of the president. He looked into the progress of the development activities of the farm. He also appreciated the contribution given by the dairy products to the national economy. The Ambaivala farm was established in the year 1940 and privatized in the year 2001. Small nations like Sri Lanka will be adversely affected if the current conflict between Israel and Iran escalates, Presidential Advisor Ruwan Wijewardena said today. Nations like Sri Lanka will be adversely affected if the conflict between Iran and Israel escalates, as such a scenario could result in soaring fuel prices, Mr. Wijewardena told a New Year gathering in Biagama today. President Ranil Wickremesinghe will take this matter up with his Iranian counterpart Ibrahim Raisi when he visits Sri Lanka later this month, he added. 2 female passengers of the Republic of Guinea who tried to enter Sri Lanka by carrying 20 million rupees worth swallowed cocaine in their abdomens were intercepted by the customs this morning. Officials of the Customs Narcotic Control Unit stationed at the arrival terminal of the Bandaranaike International Airport questioned the foreigners on suspicion to realize that they had swallowed capsules containing cocaine. Customs spokesman, Senior Director Sivali Akuragoda said that the authorities have managed to retrieve 29 and 11 capsules containing 500 grams of cocaine altogether from the 2 women. This is the news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. And we continue with more local news. The Hulsdorf Magistrates Court has issued a detention order on the 4 suspects, including 2 naval officers arrested while in possession of crystal methamphetamine, that's ice. Accordingly, the arrested individuals will be detained until the 26th of April for interrogations. The officers of the Mullaria police arrested 510 grams of ice from the possession of the 4 individuals. The consignment was estimated to be worth 7.5 million rupees. Among the arrested individuals are 2 lieutenant commanders of Sri Lanka Navy. The funeral of the Sarvodaya Shramadana movement founder Dr. APR Ratna was held today at 4 p.m. at the Independence Square with state honours. Many religious and political leaders and intellectuals paid their final respects to late Dr. APR Ratna at the Sarvodaya headquarters during the past few days. Dr. R.A. Ratna passed away last Tuesday after a brief illness at the private hospital. He was 92 years old at the time of his death. Secretary to the Ministry of Home Affairs and Local Government, Pradeep Yasaratna, said that late Dr. R.A. Ratna has rendered a yeoman service to enhancing the living conditions of the rural people. He recalled the services rendered by him to develop the underdeveloped rural villages. The Immigration and Immigration Department announced a forthcoming online visa system for travellers entering Sri Lanka by ship. The department's Additional Controller General Nimal Gunawardena said that the online visa system will be introduced for 4 days. Accordingly, the charge to obtain an online visa will be $25. And to conclude the local news, the headlines once again. President Wickremesinghe engages in an observation tour in the Ambaivala dairy farm this morning to look into the development activities. Sri Lanka will suffer if Israel-Iran conflict escalates. 2 Guinea women nabbed at BIA with 20 million rupees worth cocaine. Detention orders issued on 4, including 2 naval officers, busted with ice. The Immigration Department to launch online visa for Sri Lanka ship travellers. And that was the local news.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala.
The main news story for this evening, the distribution of fortified rice supplied by the World Food Programme on behalf of the program initiated under the instruction of President Ranil Wickremesinghe to provide a nutritious meal for school children commenced yesterday at the Veyangoda Warehouse Complex. In a bid to reduce the iron deficiency among school children, fortified rice is provided for school meals. This distribution will be conducted under the supervision of MHAM Riflan, Director General for the Partnership Secretariat for World Food Programme Cooperation, which operates under the purview of the Presidential Secretariat. As planned, the distribution of 735 metric tons of rice to provincial level schools commenced. And that was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala.
And in Watchlight this evening, a Gazette Extraordinary was issued declaring all services connected to the supply of electricity and or distribution of petroleum products and fuel as essential services from yesterday. The notification was issued by the Secretary to the President, Saman Eganayaka. And that came to you in Watchlight.
Coming up, World News.
Headlines of the world news: U.S. agrees to pull troops out of Niger. Togo constitution, parliament passes reforms likened to coup. Ukraine war, NATO pledges more advanced air defense to Kiev. Those are the headlines, and now let's move on to the details of the world news. All U.S. soldiers are set to leave Niger and in their role in the fight against Islamist insurgents. Washington says that it has firmed up its plan with the West African nation's military rulers to withdraw its more than 1,000 troops. The U.S. has also agreed to close down its big drone base near the city of Agadez in the Sahara Desert. Niger is in Africa's Sahel region, which is considered the new global epicenter of the Islamic State group. The U.S. has relied on Niger as its primary base for monitoring regional jihadist activities. Togo's parliament has given approval to a new constitution extending the president's term after critics denounced the move as a coup. The West African country will move from a presidential to a parliamentary system. President Faure Gnassingbe supporters argued that the changes reduce his power by transforming the presidency into a ceremonial role. But the opposition said the reforms remove limits on his stay in office. Their removal would enable him to remain president until the year 2031, they say, after which he would be appointed to the new position of President of the Council of Ministers, in effect Prime Minister, continuing his family's 57-year rule. NATO will give Ukraine more advanced air defenses after urgent Kiev pleas and deadly Russian attacks, military bloc head Jens Stoltenberg has said. His comments come after a crisis NATO-Ukraine summit yesterday. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said Kiev needed 7 more Patriots or similar air defense systems to defend the country's cities. 7 people, including 2 children, were killed in Russian missile strikes yesterday, Ukrainian officials said. In the other key developments, Ukraine claimed that it had down for the first time a strategic long-range bomber deep in Russian territory yesterday. That was the world news, and now let's move on to development news. The male boarding house of the Labadouwer Agriculture Office in Gaul will be renovated by the Department of Agriculture. More than 2.8 million rupees will be spent for the project. And that was the development news.
Moving on with sports news.
Afghanistan A team will arrive in the island on the 25th of this month for a match tour. They are scheduled to participate in 5 ODIs and a 4-day match with Sri Lanka A team. The first ODI between the two nations will be played on the 28th of this month. That was the sports news, business news coming up.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු ගීත හැබැයි කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business news sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Treasury bills valued at 92 billion rupees will be issued, expiring in 91, 182 and 364 days. These bills can be purchased from the primary dealers and licensed commercial banks. The auction will be held on Wednesday. That was the business news. Economic news follows.
Business News. Sponsored by National Savings Bank. The safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හින හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
And in economic news, a variety of paddy has been produced by the Ambalanthata Paddy Research Institute. It has been named as AT36. A high yield can be expected from this new variety. That is the economic news and the weather report to conclude.
Weather report.
And finally, the weather report: showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in the western, Sabaragamuwa, central and northwestern provinces and in the Gaul and Mathura districts after 2 p.m. Showers or thunder showers may occur at a few places in the Uva province and in the Anuradhapura, Vavuniya and Mannar districts during the afternoon or night. Showers may occur in the western coastal areas during the morning hours too. And before we conclude this bulletin, let's get back to the headlines once again. President Wickremesinghe engages in an observation tour in the Amavela dairy farm this morning to look into the development activities. Sri Lanka will suffer if Israel-Iran conflict escalates. 2 Guinea women nabbed at the BIA with 20 million rupees worth cocaine. Detention orders issued for 4, including naval officers, busted with ice. The Immigration Department to launch online visa for Sri Lankan ship travellers. And in news overseas, the US agrees to pull troops out of Niger. And that was the news at this time. And now let's hand it back to Mario, who is sitting in today as your Saturday evening host, to continue with the rest of your programs.